name is Maria-Teresa, and I'm a second-year PhD student at the University of Zurich. I'm very happy to present to you our joint work with Cetinic named Exploring Language Patterns of Prompts in Text-to-Image Generation and Their Impact on Visual Diversity, which basically explores how users interacting with text-to-image models write prompts and how these prompts have implications on visual homogenization, bias amplification, and creativity in general. So to begin with, let's start with a very familiar example. A user types in a prompt that looks like this: a beautiful girl, a masterpiece, cinematic lighting, best qualities, and these are all words that they are advised to be used from prompt engineering templates when interacting with text-to-image models for achieving high-quality results. And if you get a diffusion model like Stable Diffusion, you are most probably going to get images that look like this. These images, on the first glance, look very aesthetically pleasing and technically impressive, but they're also very similar. So we get to see that they have the same kind of lighting, same type of visual features, and same type of aesthetic. And what is happening basically here is that these very vague words like beautiful, cinematic lighting, best quality, they don't really work as descriptors, but as stylistic commands. So the models, either from the patterns that they have learned during their training data or the decisions that they were made during model deployment, they associate these very vague terms with very specific patterns, and they produce these very homogeneous results. But this got me thinking that we're always talking about model biases and biases in the training data, but what if the fault is not always on the model side? What if also the ways that users are prompting are perpetuating basically these biases? Yeah, I wanted to check the prompting behavior of users that interact with these models and basically how linguistically creative their language is and whether that has some kind of impact in the visual diversity of images. So in order to do so, I turned into Civit.ai. For those of you who may not know, Civit.ai is the most popular online open source platform for allowing users to interact with text-to-image models. Users can either download models that already exist in the platform or fine-tune their own models. And what is special about this platform is that it's also very interactive. So basically, users can follow each other. They can like their favorite images, prompts, and also their favorite models. And of course, the most famous ones are always on the top of the platform, so they're always getting perpetuated. For this, on a previous work, we created a dataset called Civiverse dataset. We extract basically 6.5 million prompts and images generated from approximately 50,000 unique users interacting with the Civit.ai platform in a time frame of 6 months. And as you can see, the popularity of this platform has increased. From October 2023, we had only 30,000 unique interactions, whereas in April 2024, 1.7 million. So what we wanted to understand was basically we wanted to categorize users based on how much they repeat or experiment when prompting. To see whether the prompting behavior changes over time, whether prompting language becomes more homogenized, more creative, or whether it stays the same, and also to see whether these affect the visual diversity of the generated images. When it comes to the user categories, we found out that on the prompt level behavior, most of the prompts come from, as we call, consistent users, which are basically the users that they are most of the times prompting near duplicate prompts, whereas only 3% of the total share of prompts come from non-repeaters, which are the ones that they experiment the most with the platform. But when switching the analysis from the prompt level behavior to the user level behavior, we found out that non-repeaters comprise actually 40% of the total users in the platform. So it's not that users don't experiment, but they're not very visible in the platform just because they're not the ones that dominate with their prompts the platform. So in order to understand whether the prompting language changes over time, we adopted some computational linguistic metrics, type token ratio, which basically counts how many unique words exist in comparison to the total number of words, self-repetition score, which does the same, but for bigger text chunks. Compression ratio, which is an algorithm that compresses the text, and the logic behind it is that if the text is really repetitive, it's going to compress easier, and affecting number of words, which counts basically the unique, whether there are a few dominating words instead of many different ones. And as you can see here, there is a clear trend. There is a sharp decrease in the linguistic diversity of prompts after February 2024, which also coincides with the release of the Pony diffusion XL model, which is a derivative of stable diffusion, which is specifically trained on anime, cartoon, and non-safe for work content, and it was found to be very competent in generating high-quality images for this type of content. And what is different about this model is that it introduces the Tamburo style tagging system, which is basically a vocabulary database of very specific tags that users must use when prompting in order to achieve the desirable and high quality results. So of course, this made the prompting language way more predictable because users, they were not really experimenting, but just relying on these very specific tags. Then we wanted to see whether the semantic diversity of prompts changed as well, so not only the language, but the topics as well. And what is very surprising is that even though the number of prompts increase during in every month, when we performed a monthly topic modeling analysis, we found out that the topics stay the same and they don't increase as well. So basically the prompts revolve around a very specific and recurring topics. And most of the times, prompts cluster around topics such as photorealism and quality, non-safe for work content, and description of physical features. And this coincided with another experiment that we did on token frequency. So among all user categories, we found out that there's specific type of words like hair, detailed, quality, that they are used most of the time in their prompts. And then we made a few experiments. I'm going to show to you one of them here to understand whether these decrease in linguistic diversity also coincides with the decrease in visual diversity using Venn discourse, which basically measures the visual diversity of the images. And as we can see here, there's again this decrease in the visual diversity of the images as well, so the images become more homogeneous, and especially for the category of consistent repeaters. And here we can see some examples derived from the CVverse dataset from the category of consistent repeaters. There are examples that they were clustered tightly together. And you can see here we have different models. Of course, each model has its own biases, but also they're coming from not very linguistically diverse prompts, and you can see that they have the same face, the same type of aesthetic, so they're not very visually diverse. So to conclude with, this prompt language is becoming more homogenized as time goes by. And of course, prompting templates and formulaic language can, on the other hand, help users, and especially people who interact for the first time with these models, to achieve high-quality results, but this might come at cost with their experimentation instinct or their creativity. And of course, this linguistic repetition leads to lower visual diversity, and this creates a feedback loop that narrows the expressive range of both prompts and outputs. So we need to keep in mind that these models, they're not just neutral tools. They're of course shaped by the patterns that exist in the training data, but also by the behavior that we users have when interacting with them. And we're also responsible for fostering a more creative visual culture. And we're also creative for fostering creativity and rethinking how platforms should guide and inspire user input. So thank you for your time.